What do you miss the most from pre-COVID? Not having to talk about the same damn thing all the time. I miss the fact of just being sick without any other kind of concern. I have chronic, but mild, reflux. Irritates my throat, causing me to feel the need to clear it. Every other week it's been, is this cough the normal cough or COVID? Making appointments of various kinds, medical, dental, renewing driver's licenses and such, and especially vet appointments, seems like a huge hassle now, and sometimes the next free slot is weeks, months out. Lol, yeah. I had something come up right before a dentist appointment and called to reschedule. First appointment was another 6 months. Then during the cleaning they're like, you got a lot of build up. Why did you wait so long to come in for a cleaning? Listen, motherfucker. My favorite California burrito place. They're gone. They were jammed in a small space in a strip mall. But their prices and quality kicked the crap out of the competition. I put one of their paper menus in my filing cabinet so I will always remember them. I can't believe I didn't post it. So many requests for the name. It was El Amigo in Imperial Beach, San Diego. Rip all the places I didn't get to try because pre-COVID I was like, oh, I can go there whenever. No rush. Deaf person able communicate with people without a mask. So I can see their face and read lips. I've been feeling lonely. P.S. man guys. I just saw this as of now and all those awards. Bro. Thank you so much. Reddit people on here. You're my friends. Internet hugs. Thank you for making my day. Lower prices. Housing went up. Food as well. Prices of petrol, electricity and heating are through the roof. It feels like I am buying groceries at the airport. I miss not thinking about everything as pre-COVID. Before the pandemic, I usually just thought of past events as past events. But now, I often find myself labeling everything from 2019 and back as oh, that was before COVID. It's sad that the pandemic has gotten to the point where it defines your entire life. I'm the exact same way. Everything is now organized as pre-COVID, early COVID, or current COVID in my head right now. The certainty, and even if life was uncertain in its own way, was never this uncertain. Got a holiday booked for 6 months time? 99.9% you'll get to do it. Got a wedding to look forward to? Yeah, that was going to happen. Now we can't even be certain there's anything to look forward to. Edit. Thank you for the kind awards. Here's hoping that we get to do all the things this year. I never realized how much I counted on trips before the pandemic. Whenever I was sad or stressed out with work, I would remind myself it's okay. We're going to in 2 weeks. Just gotta get through these 2 weeks. I have nothing planned anymore because it'll just get cancelled or rescheduled, and ultimately cancelled or forgotten about. The only things I am looking forward to now are therapy Zooms and doctor appointments. Future is bleak. Edit. So I was in a bad place when I wrote this comment. I feel a lot better. Especially after reading a lot of kind responses. There is a lot to look forward to, but it has been a rough couple years and I think we're all tired. Being present-minded. Here and now sort of mentality. Last 2 years feels like I've paused things waiting for this pandemic to blow over. But the more time passes, the more I feel like I'm just wasting away, if it makes sense. Edit. Thank you guys for the awards and what is by far my most upvoted comment. Just wanted to clarify that my mental health is fine as far as this pandemic goes, but the comments' concerns are appreciated. Stay safe and as optimistically positive as your situation allows. Live music, going to shows. Not having foggy glasses all the time from mask wearing. This. I went to a gig in December and it felt like a shot of cocaine through my system. It was unreal. I forgot what it was like to dance and sing and enjoy music. Understanding what people say. I have bad hearing loss and I rely hard on reading lips. Far more than I realized. Now that everyone is wearing a mask and their voice is slightly muffled, I'm constantly asking people to repeat themselves. In-person classes. Before COVID, I took a drawing class, a sewing class, etc. Now, it's so much harder to try out a new hobby. Ugh. I was in PTA, physical therapist assistant school during the pandemic, and we did hybrid learning. Lab classes in person, lecture online. I learned very quickly that I do not learn through online lectures. I need to be in person to stay engaged. Casually popping into restaurants. Thought it said pooping. Still applies. Honestly, Just the feeling of security we didn't realize. You want to go out. Go for it. Making plans somewhere out of town. You go right ahead. Planning a vacation somewhere. No problem. Now you can't really make any large scale plans without the decent chance it'll get cancelled and you lose the down payments. Not living in a constantly changing system. Pre-COVID, everything was scheduled. School holidays. Places were open to visit. But since COVID, everything that has to do with the government is constantly changing. I just miss being on stable ground. I graduated in 2019 and decided to take a gap year in 2020. And thank fuck that I did. Vacations. I had one booked for tail end of March 2020. Literally got cancelled on me about a week prior. I miss vacations and being able to travel. All the restaurants that went out of business. Tried and true ramen shops. Chino Cubano hole in the walls. Classic Italian fare. The underrated Mediterranean fusion spot that always gave you a little extra hummus without you asking. All the places my fiance and I used to get lost in. They're all fucking gone. It really sucks. Local or small businesses. 2. There used to be a family video hanging on a couple blocks down. And we loved the nostalgia of browsing the new releases and back titles and renting a couple movies for the weekend. It shut down about 6 months ago. As much as I dislike Walmart, damn do I miss them and other stores being open late night. All of my night shift friends have suffered and forced to only shop on days off. I used to go to Walmart at around 2300 hours anytime I needed something and it was so much better. I could get everything I wanted right away and if I was bored, I could gander a stuff in electronics. No lines. No assholes. Usually shelves were stocked or the pallets were sitting in the aisles and I could grab what I needed and boom. All done. Now it's a hassle every time because everyone needs to fit their shopping in during less hours. I bet that hasn't helped with spreading the virus by making more people come together in a shorter amount of time. Being excited about the future. A normal university experience. Where I live, many universities have been mostly virtual since March 2020. So the community and social aspects of university has been almost entirely absent. And the fact that we're still paying full price for zero amenities and bullshit classes, some of which don't even meet, is straight highway robbery. Traveling internationally. Frankly, I'd prefer if you stuck to local gutters, thank you. My grandparents. My dad. My waistline. I remember seeing the joke floating around all over the internet of now that I've lived through a plague I understand why Renaissance paintings are all a bunch of chubby women laying around with their tits out. It's pretty on the nose. Socialization. It's so hard to make friends right now. I feel very isolated. Edit. Holy shit, thank you. Also, we're all so lonely. Loudly crying face. Same. And I'm struggling to keep in touch with my existing friends. Even texting is effort. And it feels like I've run out of things to talk about. I have no idea how to socialize anymore. Not directly thinking about the worst thing ever when I hear someone cough. And the opposite, not feeling like a criminal when you cough in public. Not feeling like society is a joke. Honestly, the pandemic really hit home that we are all just making it up as we go along and no one knows what they are doing. I miss the very beginning of COVID when people's society were coming together, like when Disney Plus was free to help boredom, and people were making makeshift food pantries in their neighborhood. I feel like it quickly shifted from the pandemic bringing people together to pushing them so far apart. My sister. Not seen her in person since the start as she works abroad. Sure, we video chat, but 2 years is a long time to not see someone in person. I guess I miss not having a stack of inconveniences that have to be dealt with in order to do public things. It's not that any one inconvenience is too much, but it's just so many little things. Spontaneity. Pre-COVID, if I wanted to go to a store or restaurant I went. I didn't have to check its COVID hours, mask requirements, whether it was open or just for pickup, etc. Same. I want to go to a museum, have to book a space on their website, be on time for my time slot. As a person who works nights, stores and restaurants that are open late, I used to be able to get out of work at whatever hour and have a dozen different grocery stores and fast food restaurants I could stop at on the way home. And now 2 years after the pandemic I have only 1 or 2. And sometimes they'll be closed anyway for whatever reason. More mild depression. I have severe depression now and getting a therapist is basically impossible because everyone has depression. In addition of maybe having other mental problems. I'd love to have the ability to get therapy now. Instead of in 2 months. And then I go there without being accepted. Not being able to book things long in advance because you have no idea what the situation will be like in a handful of months. You can sure as hell buy the tickets for a gig that's happening months from now, but is it actually gonna happen when it's supposed to? Who TF knows, man shrugging. Really living. This feels like just existing. I'm stuck with this overwhelming feeling of ennui. Bored with food. Bored with TV. Bored with social media. Bored with books. Movies and the theater and convention season. And all virtual social life is sucking. Depending on where you lived. Theaters were open the whole time. But nobody was going. I have a friend who actually went more during the pandemic because he was literally the only person in the theater for close to a year. Easy travel. Pre-COVID I used to head either overseas or interstate often. With minimal planning needed. I renewed my passport December 2019. So that was a unnecessary cost considering. Feeling like I could trust people to do the right thing. Regular fucking doctor appointments. No, I do not want to do my annual Ibgyn visit through a video. Pretty sure that's how you get porn. Wait, not trying to be crude here, but did they really offer that as an option? An Ibgyn exam over video chat? That does seem insane to me. My friends. I went from the most socially active person on the planet to a lonely asshole. Some got engaged and disappeared. Lots of them went away for work. Others simply disappeared, and knowing new people is hard as hell nowadays. These things all happened even before. But pandemic really got them bigger. God only knows how bad I'd go back in time. I still talk with my really close friends, but I had so many friendships dissipate during the pandemic because we just couldn't really hang out and didn't bother to keep in touch. It sucks. I spend most of my time at home now. My optimism for my future. Uber pool. I used to always be able to get cheap Ubers with it and rarely had anyone else ride with me. Can barely get regular Ubers. I needed one this morning. Checked the app and it was busy time and the minimum cost was over $40. Switched to Lyft and got a ride for $10, but it took a while for a driver to pick it up. Hugging people without any concerns. Smiling face with tear. I used to try to be mindful of my waste. And for the most part other people did too. But I use so many disposable masks and wet wipes now and I feel really bad about it. On a similar note, I hate seeing COVID litter. Masks and gloves in the streets and on the sidewalk just. Ugh. Not having constantly changing rules. This is an underrated one because it impacts just about everything else. Is indoor dining allowed this week? Is there a limit to the number of people gathering? How far in advance do I need a test to travel? Do I need a PCR or some other test? Is alcohol still allowed for pickup? At least with the lockdowns. You were inside and that was it. Now you have options for going out and doing things. But you have to keep up to date on the ever-changing requirements just to enjoy small activities. Wearing lipstick. Vain. I know. But I'm not a makeup girl. And loved wearing lipstick. I have about 40 lipsticks sat in a basket under my sink. Totally unused for 2 years and probably not usable anymore. Little things like this, yes vain I know, eventually add up and just seem to kind of suck a lot of joy out of life. And before anyone goes mental on this comment, I know this is trivial compared to all of the struggles people have had and I'm not comparing. Just expressing a little thing that I miss. For me it boils down to the ability to act spontaneously. Pre-COVID if we felt like going to Las Vegas or the beach for a weekend, we could just jump on a plane and go. I feel like now we would have to check for mask requirements on the airline and at our destination. Fish out our vaccine paperwork and make sure we met those requirements. Find attractions and events that are open and available. Make backup plans in case something got cancelled and then make a backup travel plan in case air travel gets shut down. Even simple things like going to a movie or a restaurant are a pain. Are they open? Are they seating inside? How long is the wait? Nothing is fun anymore. Everything is a pain in the ass. Honestly, out of everything, I just miss being able to go out and be in public without having am I going to catch a horrible virus in the back of my mind all the time. I miss being able to relax. I haven't felt relaxed outside of my home in 2 years. I'm currently in first year of college. I hope next year I'll finally have some classes in the actual college instead of my bedroom. Everything. This pandemic ruined every aspect of my life. I miss the person I was before my mental breakdown last year. I miss being able to have friends, to date, and to have at least some kind of optimism about the future. Life is a living hell right now. Every waking moment. Not to this level for me but this. The 3 months before COVID might have been the best 3 months of my life. Everything was going my way. Everything. I wonder if I'll ever feel that momentum again. Now it's all destroyed and I'm struggling with that. Seeing and spending time with my mum, who passed away December 2020. Sad pensive face. I miss spontaneous hangouts at friends' houses. Hugs. Random makeouts. Vacations. Only having my existing chronic pain illness and not worrying about one more long-term illness. People not talking about COVID all the time. Not just that, but everyone fighting about COVID all the time. I'm just so goddamn sick of it. People weren't as angry. I know I wasn't. Not having the constant anxiety of things like wallet, keys, phone, where's a damn mask, wondering if I'm upsetting someone else for standing too close to them in line, feeling guilty about going to see friends, not being able to go to my office to work, not being able to plan international vacations, wondering if my wedding will actually be able to happen, etc., etc., etc. I'm just so fucking burned out. My faith that most people are basically kind. Travel. Low anxiety. People hanging out without a care and laughing and shit. Seeing people smile or laugh. Buffets. Being able to go places and not worry about a mask. Also, being able to go places and see smiling faces and just happy people in general. I miss the happy people. Actual menus in restaurants and not scanning a QR code to read a non-mobile friendly menu. Not having to take out my phone and show a QR code to eat chicken nuggets. A lot of people may not think about this, but life as an actor has changed so much. First of all, the exciting in-person castings no longer exist. All auditions and callbacks just take place over a Zoom. Some folks like the convenience but I miss the ceremony of giving it all in person. And then after you book a job, primarily commercials in my case, there is no longer a big crew. Being on set meeting lots of folks working on a project was so fun. Now it's just a small handful of people on the production and obviously masks distancing are encouraged. I know these aren't that big of a deal but I miss all of the connecting and camaraderie. I remember reading this happened on WandaVision. Rule of thumb but any scene with the boys was filmed after the lockdown since they recasted one of them. After they filmed a scene, they would make the actors go back to their trailers. The guy who played Vision, his name escapes me, hated this because of the lack of camaraderie. When Loki was filmed, things were much looser. At the very least the cast was able to eat lunch together. Stores being open late. Being able to cough in public without people looking at me like I just murdered a child. Being able to get on a plane to Australia to visit my BF. Haven't seen him since November 2019. Have you considered taking up tennis? Not knowing how dumb many of my friends' co-workers really are. Just the public in general, it feels like I'm in prison at my home sometimes. Me too. Especially since my job moved in. Reading all these comments made me even sadder. I miss travel. Plan to work for a year and then head to New Zealand after uni for a year of travel. I graduated in November and then COVID hit in April. Even 2 years later I haven't managed to save as nearly as I'd originally liked due to being made redundant and unemployed for a while. But I'm hoping to head over there in August, COVID depending. My motivation to do anything success. I wrote another Reddit comment, party popper. School. As a parent, watching my kids struggle through a full year of virtual school and struggling to catch up to where they need to be is heartbreaking. Teachers won't admit it to parents, but I heard from a teaching assistant that this year's first graders are basically preschoolers. They missed the latter half of preschool or pre-K. Had virtual kindergarten last year, which is so inappropriate for that age group, and so kids who are generally 6 turning 7 are academically aligned with the 5-year-olds. School psychologist here. This comment is very true sadly. And now people wanting to refer children for disability testing. Can't do it. They've missed so much, and you can't rule out lack of opportunity as the primary reason that 7-year-olds can't read or write or regulate their little emotions, and mainly due to chronic stress and anxiety. Insanely jam-packed and carefree kids' birthday parties. Kids are getting screwed out of serious birthday action. Concerts. Music festivals. I was looking up tickets for June 2022 and couldn't help but feel very, very uncomfortable. I probably won't go, even though I really want to. Spur of the moment pub. God, I miss the pub. The gym. I used to be so fit. Now I'm 20 pounds fatter. Freshman 15 ain't got nothing on the COVID 40. Upside down face. Confounded face. No COVID. Normal everyday anxiety, and not the overwhelming feeling that something bad is going to happen every single day. The feeling of not being afraid of other people. I miss how anti-vax people were just a very small insignificant group of upper middle class moms that we all ignored. I miss not being called every name in the book on the daily. I've been called a cunt, bitch, whore, sheep, fascist, Nazi, you name it. All because I'm trying to do my job and serve people who have become even more entitled. It's already not great working in retail. COVID brought a whole new level to retail. Going to a restaurant and getting to eat my meal as it comes piping hot to the table from the kitchen. Not eating it lukewarm while on my couch 10 to 15 minutes after picking it up from the to-go counter. Crying face. I really just miss work being less stressful. I work in a nursing home as a nurse's aide, and we're always on pins and needles just waiting for the next outbreak. PPE is so goddamn exhausting to wear, especially in the summer. I'd go out of one patient's room and rip the gowns off Hulk style and then have to go right into another room without much chance to air out. And I just really miss not having something on my face all the time. I'm sick of seeing my residents die of this shit. We had one patient critically ill who we couldn't send out because there wasn't a single hospital in the state who could take him. They were too full. I got pregnant in August 2019. I found out 2 weeks before we were gonna move from the UK to the Netherlands. My mother used to live next door to us. She has never met her soon-to-be 2-year-old grandson. I'm her only child and he's the only grandchild. She's 70. I hope she can ever meet him at this point. Not hearing about fucking COVID every second of the day. If I could go one single day without hearing, reading, seeing anything about it, I would be so happy. Now life is just 24/7 anxiety and misery. I've looked back at photos and gotten flashes of memories of how fun and happy life was. How I could go out freely and make plans. It's pretty surreal remembering my mindset before everything. Getting sick was literally inconceivable, and if I did, it just came and went. Now it's as important as remembering my phone, wallet and keys when I leave the house. Who knows how long it'll take until this lifestyle is a distant memory. On a side note, if anyone's struggling, please seek help. You're important to someone. If not now, then soon. Being able to criticize the stupid decisions made by every character in any zombie outbreak movie. As it turns out, the terrible decisions in those movies are accurate. 2019 moviegoers, ugh, they're so dumb. Why would they keep someone in their party even after they were bitten? They should be isolating them much as possible in case they turned out to be a zombie. 2020 streaming watchers, wow. This film is so realistic in how people casually disregard life-threatening situations once they've become desensitized and frustrated enough. Taking my son to the local kids museum. Living. Simply living. The optimism that one day I'd be able to afford a house of my own. My partner just recently got a new job that pays significantly more than her previous one, and I'm lined up to get one even more lucrative. 2 years ago, these jobs would have bought us a very nice house in an upper middle class neighborhood. Today we can barely afford a starter house in the shittiest parts of town. Going away and visiting new places. Granted, in summer I traveled but only by car and ate primarily outside. When I had to eat, or do anything inside, it was so stressful. Since summer, I've stopped eating out. Also, going to movie theaters. Yes, I could sit there for the 2 or so hours with a mask, but I like popcorn too much. Obvious, but masks. I'm a respiratory therapist. I don't have time to type everything. Seeing people generally happy around the holidays. Yeah, Christmas has become something to survive rather than to celebrate. Being able to confidently look forward to the future without much uncertainty. Making a holiday plan and being 99.9% sure it'll happen. Collective sanity. Being able to cough if spit goes down the windpipe. Being happy. I haven't felt actual happiness in almost 2 years. Sometimes I feel content and calm with the situation, but I feel like I haven't felt happy, just occasionally pleased. This might sound weird, but going to funerals. I have had several elderly extended family members pass in the last 2 years. People that raised me. People I loved with all my heart. It would have been nice closure to go say goodbye and comfort and be comforted by family, but out of caution, there have been no services. RIP, you incredible aunts and uncles. 2 of my favorite restaurants couldn't survive the initial shutdown and closed their doors. Not part of a chain, so they are just gone. Going out for lunch with my sister. I visit her and she visits me, but we used to go out for lunch once a fortnight and I miss that. Finding and trying new cafes and not being worried about it. Just being able to go wherever I wanted without having to worry. I took it for granted so much. I'll never do that again if we ever get the chance to go back to normal. Meeting new people is so much harder and I was never particularly good at that sort of thing in the first place. I was a dialysis patient before COVID and now that I have a kidney I want to go out to eat. I have been in public maybe 5 times since COVID began. If I got COVID, it would likely destroy my transplant and possibly end my life. Despite being vaccinated with the booster, I am still staying in. Not constantly worrying about super minor everyday symptoms that I might have. Dating. I don't leave the house anymore, so I don't meet people in the wild. And I don't trust the people on Tinder to actually be safe. I had a few Zoom dates early on, but they fizzled out when I wasn't willing to hook up after a 20-minute video chat. Pre-COVID I thought people were smarter, less selfish, and I felt like I could trust being around both family and strangers. That ignorance was blissful. Now, I have realized people don't care about others. People are intolerant of others' comfort levels. People are more willing to guilt others into action. A person with 5 minutes of Facebook research thinks they are more qualified to speak than a doctor with 20 years experience. People have become inherently more selfish. And now I can't even trust my own family, let alone a complete stranger. Not knowing beyond all doubt how absolutely stupid and insane so many people are. I've had long COVID since September 2020. I have chronic fatigue, joint pains, muscle pains, headaches, chest pains, brain fog, short-term memory loss, and a persistent cough among a bunch of other symptoms. I've had to defer going to university in the hope that I might recover, and thankfully they've been very accommodating about that. But I have no idea if I will ever get better. Worst of it though is that I can't taste or smell. I've always been a glutton and now most of the joy of food is gone. It's miserable. The illusion that our society isn't as fragile. To an extent I was aware of many issues, but COVID really brought them to light. Also, some of these things I'm glad I'm aware of and that others are aware of, because it can bring forth change to outdated systems. Thinking there were more compassionate, intelligent people capable of critical thinking. As a music teacher and musician, I miss singing mask-free and singing in large groups. I think group singing is such a powerful experience for all people, especially young people. While some group singing is happening in some places, I miss singing together and feeling carefree. The naive thought that zombie apocalypse movies are unrealistic because of course people would take it seriously immediately, follow guidelines, work together, and be honest about whether they were bitten.